Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for July 1st through 8th, 2024. Well, it's been an intense week with our personal planets squaring up with the nodes of the moon and Chiron. First, we had Mercury square up with the nodes of the moon last week, and then come into square with Chiron just a couple of days ago. Venus was in square to the nodes just a couple of days ago. We're still feeling that. And now Venus is making her way into the square with Chiron. And the sun and the moon will be making these squares as well as we head into the Cancer new moon that happens this Friday, July 5th, 6th. Depending on where you are in the world, this Cancer new moon happens at 14 degrees Cancer, 23 minutes, right there in the very middle of the sign. This Cancer new moon is coming forward with very powerful messages as we have these dynamic transits happening with our personal planets. Our personal planets in Cancer. The new moon is the sun and the moon coming together, a new start, a new cycle in the energy of the sign. In Cancer, we're talking about nurturing, compassion, and mothering. Everything this world needs. And so it's about trying to make a new start in the right direction. So much of the energy of these transits with Mercury, Venus, and the sun involved have to do with the feeling. What's coming up around these squares is like, because it's the nodes of the moon, the north node is how do we move forward? South node, what might be holding us back from the past. So we're talking about karma and destiny, and we're talking about alignment with our true path. So many supernova souls have felt that their life they've been living is in their everyday life not true to who they really are spiritually. And this is bringing up with the Cancer energy a lot of grief and regret. It might be that you can have these feelings come up of kind of this, it's just a feeling of almost like a nostalgia as well, longing for the past, regret over the past, and yet not even something even specific. It's just a general overall feeling, which it might be a collective energy, which would make sense with this astrology as the mother is calling us back home into her arms, into her love. And then we have to face where we have gone astray so that we can bring ourselves back to her. And so these squares have everything to do with that, where we haven't been living in alignment as much as our heart and our soul. Supernova souls, you've always been in alignment in your heart, in the trueness of your heart. But most of us just not able in this modern life to live in according to our greater spiritual truth. And so much is coming up around this of feeling how far we got off our path, longing, deep grief and regret about the past, but also longing for connection and the good things that you can feel possibly, maybe coming down the pike. This is the message from the mother. The future does not look like what we think it looks like. But she says it's beyond amazing. So if it's not what we think it looks like and it's beyond amazing, then it's not what it looks like right now. It's not how it has looked like. The way it's going to be is not at all like the way it has been. So that's where we're at this place of kind of being at a loss of the old structures, our belief systems, our relationships, our jobs, our daily life, just not supporting the truth of who we really are, and feeling that coming to the end of the road of how far we can go in the wrong direction. And then how do we redirect and reconnect? And that's about coming home to the mother, and that's what these squares are talking about. So we just felt Venus on the 27th came in square, on the 27th of June, was in square to the nodes of the moon, and that lasts, is we're still just kind of coming off the tail end of, and Mercury the week before came into square with the nodes. So we're feeling this coming up against the wall, and especially with the Venus is what we love, what we want, what makes us feel loved and cared for, what we desire. And so Venus in square to the nodes brings up a lot of frustration of our life not being what we want it to be, you know. Now, this is a confusing thing around the mother's teachings and what's come forward in her voice. It seems that there's this core truth that everything is, if we could be in the energy of this knowing that everything is unfolding perfectly. But it's really hard to be there when things aren't going very well and not going the way that we want it to. Now, this is coming up a lot right now because we just had Saturn turn retrograde. So, bringing up a little bit of the glitchy, blocky energies that we've been feeling, kind of working out our new timeline, who's in charge of our reality. And so, there's a little bit of a glitchy, blocking type of energy coming forward. But with Venus in square to Chiron, or in Venus in square to the nodes, this energy of grief around our life not being what we would like it to be, or anywhere close to what we thought it might be, or just feeling completely lost and unknown about what we're even doing, you know. But the other part of the mother's teachings in that regard is that can you hold the vision of what's possible? Okay, so we can't get to the place of where we want to be until we can be where we're at, right? And this is a lot of our problem because we are so repressed as a culture and society. And so we have all these intense emotions, and maybe that's the grief that's coming up. All of our personal planets in Cancer, it's a lot of emotions, it's a lot of energy, and it's a lot of this longing and energy of the past with Saturn turning retrograde in Pisces. And so, but the energy around this message is that so we can't get to where we want to go until we can fully be where we're at. And then the mother asks us to be where we're at and entertain that it's unfolding perfectly and hold the vision of what you know is possible. Okay. So it's about being present, fully present with where you're at and what's happening, but holding a vision of what you would like it to see or what it could become, or being open to this. That's how we work the magic. So really, really powerful times. There's so much squares right now, blocking energies, or that feeling of like you can't keep going the way you're going. There needs to be a turn, a radical turn, 90-degree turn. But at the same time, this energy is so incredibly dynamic. So just coming off of Mercury and then Venus square the nodes, facing where our life isn't what we want it to be. But then can we hold a vision, understanding that everything that's coming up, all the emotions, all the past relationship patterns, all the past traumas, it's just about making room for what's coming. Because going back to the fact that it doesn't look like what we think it's going to look like, and it's way different than it is now. So that means we've got to really change our lives to be ready for what's coming, see? And that's what's going on. That's what these squares are about. So just know it. Sometimes it feels like one thing after another, right? Like of popping out of the corners of our lives. Now, this is because Black Moon Lilith has been in opposition to Neptune. So Black Moon Lilith has been at the very end degrees of Virgo, but just moved over into the sign of Libra yesterday. So this is a big shift of energy because Black Moon Lilith is our deepest, darkest secrets, and often around the energy of the feminine, creation energy, healing, or sexual energy. And so it's wherever Black Moon Lilith is in your chart, it's like wherever there's these deep, dark secrets. And it's often for SuperNova souls, deep, dark secrets about who you really are and the gifts and skills that you have, but also how those may have been demonized and people turned against you and persecution over having these same gifts. So all that's been on the table with Black Moon Lilith at the end of Virgo, an exact opposition to Neptune at the very last degree of Pisces, 29 degrees Pisces. And so um, it's the end. It's the end of the story of persecuting our healers. And now we got to heal the healers and get on with healing the world, you know? But that Neptune is Neptune in Pisces, and at the very end degrees, it's delusions and dreams and belief systems and shadowy energies and lies and mistruths. And Black Moon Lilith has this energy of exposure. So now that Black Moon Lilith is, it's like we have had an exposure of the dark nightmare so that we can get back into co creating and dreaming the dream. And that's exactly the energy of Black Moon Lilith moving over into Libra, but still in opposition with Neptune. And we'll feel that for the next couple of weeks, really revealing the deep, dark secrets that are in the way, that have been in the way, deep in our subconscious, that have been keeping us from living the life we're meant to be living. You know, like the programming we haven't been able to find, the deep repressions, and all of this coming to the surface with this opposition. Now, this opposition, though, is so powerful around bringing truth and exposing delusions and lies and seeing a new dream and releasing us from the past. But there's a lot of tension to it in this kind of delusions and exposure and darkness and light. But the fact that Neptune is in sextile to Pluto, Pluto is at 1 degree Aquarius, Neptune at the very end degrees of Pisces. And so this is 2 signs apart. And so we've got this, sextiles are harmonizing. It's like creative solutions. So as much as we've got this deep, dark secrets of our past and trying to uncover it so that we can uncover our gifts as healers. You know, if we're trapped in these belief systems and fears, fear of our own power from those persecution in past lives, we can never uncover our healing gifts. But then with this opposition, the tension of this reveal and this shadowy energy that needs to come up and be healed, there's this beautiful harmonizing transit of a sextile, and that is bringing another element to this and reminding us of the Black Moon Lilith kite that we had a couple of weeks ago, speaking about lifting up out of these old stories. So this sextile with Pluto, and Pluto is a revolutionary planet, breaking down what is no longer serving and building new structures. Pluto doesn't break down anything that is useful and needed. Pluto is about transformation. But in 1 degree Aquarius, it's like, what needs to transform to get us going into the Aquarian age, into the new age? So there's this harmonizing energy saying, yeah, we got to uncover this darkness, but it's because we're moving into a whole new reality. So just know this, okay? The message is empty out, empty out, empty out. Because what's coming, you've got to make room for what's coming. You've got to take back the abundance that's ours. Make room in your life for what's coming. So it's really powerful because that Pluto then will go back into Capricorn and go into 1 degree out of sextile. Right now, Pluto and Neptune are 2 degrees out of sextile. And then when Pluto goes back into 29 degrees Capricorn, we're talking about transforming the structures of our reality to better suit the dream that we're here to dream. And this is a really important energy, this backdrop of Pluto sextile Neptune through the end of the year, bringing us this possibility of new structures, new possibilities. We've been breaking down glorious demolition of every construct, every level, or every organization of our society. But what is there to catch us? And that's what this sextile is saying. Now we put together the the network of light workers, of lovers, of the mother, of the compassionate healers coming back together to be the net that can catch humanity as we fall from these, like the Tower card on a tarot, it reminds me of the Tower card, the glorious demolition of these structures, societal structures, conceptual structures, um, historical structures. All so much has been built on lies upon lies upon lies, and that black moon Lilith opposite Neptune, it wants to expose this stuff that has kept us from dreaming the dream we're meant to dream. Now, there's a really important message that's come through the mother around this, saying that we really need to change our perspective about what we're doing here, in that we do not need to create it and we do not need to build it. It's already built and already created. We ourselves did it as we planted seeds lifetime after lifetime around these projects that we're here, that we're bringing into form. So she says, no need to build it, no need to create it. It's already created. It's seeds that are planted. It already exists on other levels. And what we need to do is simply be with her, align vibrationally, and breathe it into existence. So the message around this is to realize, to make real what's already real on other levels. And that in this, it's not as hard as we thought it was going to be. Stop barking up the wrong tree. Stop trying to, teach to those that can't receive. Like, move to fertile ground where you can really put down your roots and own it in this very crucial time. If we only need to breathe it into existence, that means we need to be in a place where we can breathe, where we can feel supported, where we can cultivate this the energy of creation that the mother's talking with us about with her is a picture of us and as human souls living and breathing on her as a living organism, this living, breathing, manifest goddess. It's a co-creation, a mutual reciprocity, right? Where we're coming forward with our love and our gratitude and our cultivation. And she's coming forward with the bounty and the gifts and the increase because of the fertile ground. So this is kind of the energy that we're feeling, is to anchor in for this massive shift that we're in, 180-degree turn into the new direction, radical falling away of the old, while the new and old existing grids of light, us light workers, supernova souls coming in to our power, into our potential, coming together. Now, this is a huge energy that's going on, because let's talk about this. We've got all this Cancer emotional energy, and then we've got the nodes of the moon being activated, and we've had a lot of energy around the north node of the moon in Aries, and kind of coming to an understanding about that, because we had the eclipse and Mercury retrograde in Aries, and so we were kind of really getting the message, but not a lot about the south node in Libra. Now, the south node in Libra being triggered by these squares to the nodes, is like, the south node is what might be holding us back from the past. So we're talking about karma. Libra is about relationships. So we, you automatically would think that it could be old contractual relationships. This is huge right now, coming up from past lives. It's almost like we're shifting into a different level of contractual clearing, where we are really being forced to take our full and complete autonomy, and in order to be open to our soul tribe and our true soul team that we're longing for, we're calling for, we're magnetically calling in right now as we come into alignment with our work with the mother. What's going to arise as we come closer to joining together and bringing this net of light is, it's going to show itself, any entanglements or relationships or contracts with anybody in over any lifetime, that is not in alignment with where you're going, and the train's coming in the station, right? There's an urgency energy because these squares are happening in cardinal signs, and that's the Aries North Node being triggered is like, come on, let's go. And that Aries North Node is about owning our power, taking back our freedom and our autonomy. So the Libra shadow of that is where we've given it away in relationships, and that's on the table where we've given it away. We have to own all of our energy back in order to make room for our true soulmate relationships where it's not that kind of contractual exchange. We're done with those types of relationships. We're not playing those games anymore. You don't even have to bother with it. If you're out there and you're feeling the vibe, like you're interacting with someone and it's a transactional relationship to to get and try to manage energy and power outside there, stop. You don't play in that sandbox anymore. That's not your reality. We're taking it to a higher love where this is about celebrating, honoring, and fostering the power and the love in our each of our hearts in the expression of our truth of what we want to bring forward. It's win-win. It's more and more. It's like, I am so excited for you to shine your light. It's like the competitive and trying to work it and manipulate out there something that we're trying to get. We had it in here all along. And it's just like, so all that constructs around relationships is completely up for review and falling apart with these transits. So the sun will be coming into square with the nodes of the moon on the 3rd of July, just a couple of days, and that leads us into that Cancer new moon. Cancer new moon happening on Friday, July 5th, and it happens in the evening, so it's in the 6th and part of, and it's in some of the world, it's the 5th or the 6th. And so the activation will be Friday, July 5th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So watch out for that new moon activation as we celebrate this brand new start into our humanness, a reset into what really matters, living our life in alignment with our core truth, which is also in alignment with the mother's dream. So, the sun leading up to this new moon comes into square with the nodes on the 3rd, and then the new moon is on the 5th. So the nodes of the moon right now are at 11 degrees Aries, and then the new moon is at 14 degrees Cancer. So it's like very powerful leading up to the new moon that the sun is in square to the nodes, and the sun is our identity. So this is bringing everything that just happened with Mercury square the nodes, Venus square the nodes into focus, into the spotlight. Who are you and what in the heck are you doing? So the sun square the north node is in Cancer, saying, how can we claim our autonomy and our authority and our power back without coming back to nurturing and the mother, knowing we deserve it? And then in square to the south node in Libra, these relationship contractual arrangements and relationship issues that are keeping you from feeling nurtured in this world. And that's kind of the deal. We supernova souls, for the most part, have not really had any nurturing relationships. It's mostly been that control based stuff because we're working out these contractual arrangements. So if we have authority contracts with this external power, which we all did, we kind of got trapped into these contracts as incarnating as advanced souls. It's kind of like, well, we can't keep you from incarnating, but we can say, don't you dare come into your power. If you do, we will remind you that you're not allowed. So punishing you for your power, lack of permission, fear programming. So we all have these contracts. And then there's a period of time where this energy was really coming up with the end degrees of Capricorn of breaking these ties with external authority and being like, how do we find these? Say these contracts with beings that aren't even human, that have a limitation on our permission to come into our power. So we got the message that these contractual arrangements with the insidious control forces that we've been battling with for thousands of years and lifetimes. We work those out through these narcissist relationships. So most supernova souls have had these empath narcissist relationships where you've been bullied, you've been controlled, you've been owned, you've been used as a food source, you've been depleted and manipulated out of your power and discarded and left with this huge wound of emptiness, and yet that wound is your portal back home to your power. And so there is a review going on over the next few months. As we have Pluto go back into Capricorn at the end degrees, these issues are going to come up anywhere you've given your power away. And why are you still doing it? And it's just frustrating, and yet it's so incredibly powerful, these transits, because get this. Okay, so the sun square the nodes. That means that for this new moon, the moon is going to be square the nodes just before the new moon on Friday. So the new sun and the moon will both be square to the nodes for that new moon. Whoa. And it's saying new moon, new start into the truth of who we are as human souls, in our power for nurturing and compassion and healing and love. And then in square to this, owning our power and contractual arrangements that are not serving us. So it's like the last stand as we come up against these control forces, and humanity says, we're not playing. We're more powerful. And so where these beings, from the level of consciousness they came from, we came from a higher level of consciousness. They should never have authority over us, and they do not. We just got manipulated and we bought into it. We just got stuck into their trap, and now we extract ourselves. And it isn't easy. This is an intense battle for your truth, your soul, your essence, your energy. And for a lot of us, it's on a cellular level every single day. And yet the payoff is going to be so huge, and it already is. Energetically, we've been hooked up to back to our source more and more, little by little. It feels like we're having more access to what is rightfully ours. And that's exactly what this North Node in Aries is about. And so this is saying that we are claiming back, and it's the cardinal signs: a new start, new moon, claiming back our humanness, claiming back the mother's timeline. Now, the other thing that's happening, so the sun and the moon will be square the nodes for this new moon. And then we also have Venus in Cancer coming into square with Chiron on the 6th. So Venus will be just all the way starting to come into square with Chiron on the 4th, or on the 5th, 4th and 5th. So also leading up to the energy of this new moon. And Venus square Chiron is the most difficult energy, maybe, of all of these squares. Venus, we often feel it the most because she's so vulnerable and she's so sensitive. And in Cancer, she's feeling extra vulnerable and sensitive. She's feeling regret. She's feeling abandoned. She's feeling sorry for, there's so much coming up that's so interesting around feelings of where just this whole thing about, we know that in order to come back to the mother's love and heal our wound of separation, there's that difficult place where you have to face how far you turned astray and forgive yourself and grieve. So what we're doing is we're grieving the old so the new can come in. We're grieving all we didn't have. We're feeling and grieving the loss, the abandonment, the emptiness, the isolation. Just feel it. Just be there, right? Because she says you can't go anywhere until you're right where you're at. And it's unfolding perfectly, and you're emptying out all of this, but it's been intense. And we've been so suppressed, So it's not until you start to see a glimpse of the soul tribe coming in, of this reunion, of this love, of this path, of this support for your true work in this world. It's not until you get a glimpse of the abundance that you can heal the pain of how lonely and empty it's been. And so just know this. This is part of the Cancer energy, and Venus square Chiron on the 6th. So right for this new moon energy, and it's saying, okay, new moon, new start into nurturing a new world, claiming back mother's timeline. Venus and square to Chiron is saying that we've got to the our feminine, or we have to claim back access to creative power. And this is energy of healing and the energy of life force, the energy of growth, the energy of sexuality, and it's been demonized, you know, in order to keep us in a place of scarcity, because we can only be controlled when we're in fear and scarcity. So Venus square Chiron is like, are we done with this story already? And she's just so ready to take back what's hers. But to take back what's hers, she's got to come back into the fold of the mother's love. And sometimes it's hardest for it's like the more separate you've been, the harder it is to come back into the fold, to feel worthy, to feel the feels of how hard it's been to be so alone and abandoned. What if you can tell her, talk to her, explain it to her, complain to her? She wants to hear you. She wants to come back into that intimate connection with you. And this is the energy of these times, the energy of this Cancer new moon. And so Venus square Chiron will last the energy of that through the 9th. So those few days after the new moon, very powerful ringing out of it's kind of this final claim, this final stand of the mother energy, saying this is, she claims her rightful dominion over this territory, all the earth realm. It's hers. All must come into alignment, and that means us too, because we're with her. And so just it's like taking back our access to creative power, healing the wounds where it was stolen, and taking it back. Now, this Venus square Chiron so tense. We just had Mercury square Chiron, and we've got, then the sun will come into square with Chiron at the middle of the month. But get this, at the same time that Venus and Mercury, Venus and the sun, as they take turns squaring up with Chiron, they're also making a sextile with Uranus in Taurus. So that's a very harmonized energy, just like that other opposition we had um, of Black Moon, Lilith, and Neptune, but Neptune sextile Pluto. So it's not so bad as we think. And this says, oh, Venus square Chiron. Ooh, oh, just so, uh, just the poor girl, so done. And yet she's in sextile to Uranus. And so this is really powerful because sextiles are harmonizing creative solutions. Uranus and Taurus is our permission for our energetic wealth, for the power within us, for exactly what we're talking about, our intuitive energetic wealth, our power to create our own reality. This is the feminine creation energy. So we are taking this back, and that sextile with Uranus says, hey, it's about this. Whoa, you're magic. They didn't want you to know the power you have within you to create your own reality. And now we get, so this is that sextile with Uranus says, hey, wait a minute. This is what this is about. Our wealth, our true wealth, free energy. Okay, because free energy, literally free energy, is perpetual motion, and perpetual motion is a feminine form of electricity. So, like, the feminine being degraded and like cut out of the Bible, cut out of the story, persecuted, that energy is exactly goes along with how they stole our technology. We've already had advanced technology, free energy numerous times. And then we've had these resets where these control forces said, oh no, we want to keep you as slaves. And this time we're like, No more. And that's what Uranus and Taurus is saying. This Venus in Cancer, uh, the love of the mother and sextile. So it's telling us that to really own our free energy and maybe feel we deserve it, we need the love of the mother. We need a nurturing world. We can't have that technology and still have monsters running around misusing it. We have to come back into the mother's timeline, and that's what we're doing. And we've got to love each other in order to feel worthy and be bestowed with the gifts that are rightfully ours. We must take them back. We know this. The abundance must be returned. And yet, we also need to be in a place that we can receive it. We can be grounded. We can be, completely like you will understand why you went through the ego death after ego death after ego death as you start to see the bigger picture of what's coming for you and the role that you're going to be playing. Just get serious about moving through the stuff. It's time to bulldoze away all of what's still there in the way of you living your life, your dream, your truth. And that's what this astrology is saying. Um, so when the sun comes into square with Chiron in the middle of the month, then the sun will be in a sextile to Uranus and we'll have another chapter, another energy of that. And the sun, our true identity as higher intuitive, magical, creative beings. We've had lifetimes. This is the deal. This is the definition of supernova. So you've already came in, you already had experience in higher dimensional reality, spiritual ascension when you came into this earth evolution. We've already experienced lifetimes on this planet in bodies where we had access to higher intuitive wisdom and the technologies in our body and advanced technologies that were mirrors of our technology in our body, devices, but all used in alignment. So we have to claim this back, our energy, our free energy, our technology. And the only way we can do it is if we all come into alignment with her dream so that it can no longer be misused. So, really, really intense energy of coming into our higher power. And that Black Moon Lilith now moving into Libra is kind of, uh, it's bringing up, it's interesting because we're having this shift from control based, releasing all the contracts of control based relationships, moving into managing and dealing with what it means for our soulmate, our core soul group, soulmates, core soul group to show up into our life. And it's intense. We've had so much loss, so much emptiness, so much isolation from each other, having people in our life maybe, but not the deep, true spiritual connection where you like feel this. And now this is the deal for supernova souls, because of who we are. If we're trying to heal our wound of separation, the way we heal our wound, the way we bring ourselves back home, and the way we co-create our new world is to heal this wound of separation. And how we heal our wound of separation is by coming back together. We find connection with source again, with our truth, with the validation of who we are as supernova souls when we come together. We bring to each other this spiritual connection. This is why you've had to claw your way back to it all alone, so that you're ready to meet your team in that place where you know you deserve it and you can stand in the power of the love that you are. This is a massive time of initiation and preparation. So just be as present as you can, because again, the message is that if we're here to co-create a new reality, breathe it into existence, everything out there is trying to keep us in the past, in the future, worried about the past, concerned with the future, waiting for something to happen, waiting for some government or energy or organization to save us or do something. And it's like, no, this is a complete distraction. Narrative after narrative, story, movie, actors, masks, who knows what's going on out there in the narratives, to distract us from the power we know we have to create our own reality. You can only create your own reality, Mother says, in the moment. So notice this. even though we're being asked to release emotions from the past, can we bring ourselves into the presence of the experience of those emotions? That when we're worried about the future, waiting for somebody to do something, waiting for the world to change, watching and checking for some sort of future faking date, then we're not in the moment, and we're not creating our reality. We're not living her dream, and we're not realizing, making real, realizing the prize. So we're here to make real, in manifest form, what's already real on other levels. We've dreamed and imagined and visioned. We already did that work, she says. Now we just remember and breathe and love and trust and surrender back into her love. And it's not easy, but this Cancer energy is helping us cry the tears, be present with where you're at, let these energies flow so you can open up to what's coming. It's so beautiful, and I'm so honored to be here with you, Supernova Souls. I look forward to this Cancer new moon. I hope you can join us for the live activation Friday, July 5th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Whoa. And just be present for this complete rebirth of the dream, as we are reborn back into who we really are, along with Mother Earth, for New Gaia, we'll call it. Very beautiful and powerful energies in this dynamic astrology. So I hope to see you there. And thank you so much for your support, being a part of the Soul Group. For $10 a month, you get a video update, Friday update, as well as access to resources for Supernova Souls and live chats on the Telegram channel and sharing circles. And then for $20 a month, you also get access to the new and full moon activations. So thank you so much for being here. There's also a link to donate if you'd like to make an offering that way. I really appreciate you just being here, present with your energy. You know, it's been hard for us, Supernova Souls, being the only ones holding on to this dream for so long and holding the torch with everyone around us and everything around us arguing with what we know to be true. And I could not have done this and had this platform to represent this truth without you holding that dream. So I just really, really appreciate you, and don't give up now, because we're so close to the finish line of moving into the co-creation, getting to work on what we came here to do, and it's glorious. We're making way, we're paving the way, we're pulling apart the old pattern, the old fabric, the old woven cloth of the structures of our lives, dismantling, disintegrating, and being okay with being in a pile and a heap on the floor, so that the mother can come find us there and comfort us back into her love and surrender into the bigger dream of what we came here. We're just a piece of it. And so we're finding this wholeness within ourselves and the love of the mother, but also realizing that we're just one part of a greater, bigger dream. And you're the only one who can play that part, that petal of the lotus. So thank you so much for being here, being brave, holding these thoughts and energies, holding the dream, the vision, and the possibility of what you know can be true, even in the face of all of the adversities of this world. And this is the power of being a visionary soul, Supernova. And it's our time. So get ready, because it's time to realize, really see with our eyes, to see the possibilities and know it and breathe it and let it just come into form. In this magical, beautiful co-creation experience together. It's all been written, she says, and now it unfolds as we come back into the fold, so that we can bring humanity back into the fold of the love of her loving arms, this embrace, this beautiful field. This mother energy we're talking about is a field of energy. It's a field of energy that can support and fortify our electromagnetic field. But we only can really access and have this support and protection when we use our consciousness to interface with the energy of the mother. This is the mutual reciprocity. Talk to her, invite her into your life. Begin this like a new baby child opening to your mother, your big mother, again, your big true mother. Find that place of innocence, and where she can wash away all the regret of the past and all the pain and all the shoulda, woulda, couldas. Just wash it all away and just let the emotions come, so that it can bring us back to neutrality and to that place with her where we feel this field of energy around us, nurturing us, holding us, loving us, supporting us. Ask her every step of the way, Mom, what do I do now? Because she says every time a problem is created, a solution is created at the same time. And so if you're at the problem and you don't yet have the solution, stop. Stop and breathe with me, she says, and wait and ask and wonder. That's a big energy of this innocence, being in wonder, being open. Part of the reason we're emptying ourselves out is because we need to be open to this abundance, to the blessings that want to come in. We're becoming hungry for them. We're going to the wilderness, we're fasting, we're releasing, we're letting go, so that we have this space, this yearning, this hunger. And as you release, you will find this yearning, this intense yearning for what you don't even know what. But what it is your connection back to source. But for supernovas, we're getting the message we can only really get there with each other, because we're part of a greater whole. We're like an organism, a soul, a group soul. Even though we have all these really distinct individualities and set of skills and gifts and experiences, we're kind of a team, and so that means that as much as you found this wholeness through all your seeking, you still are part of this greater wholeness. So what you're yearning for is to come back to source. But the way you come back to source is to come back to your people, and to this, it's this deep and profound missing, longing, yearning. That means you're getting really close to the reunion. Hold that space, hold this energy of emptying out all the relationships that can't meet you where you're at on your vibration of where you need to be. Let it go to make room for this vibration. This is, can't mistake it. It's like a fluttering, and it's like we're awakening. Are you feeling it? Like our higher chakras coming online, coming back into connection with our energetic frequency, the energy that's ours, our rightfully ours as our birthright. The blocks and cleanse and detox happenings, detoxing the blocks and cleansings of the heavy metals and nanotech in our body, opening up these subtle vibrational energies we haven't had access to. And it's quite powerful, and it takes a lot of adjusting. It takes a lot of support. Keep breathing, keep loving, keep really the energy of being around water, running water, cleansing, healing, working with water, talking to water. When you're talking to the water, you're talking to the mother. So that's one way to do it too. So just know that it's a rapid release so that you can make room for what's coming. And it's so beautiful. You have no idea what it looks like. It doesn't look like what you think it's going to look like. And yet it's going to be beyond amazing. That's what she says. So be where you're at. Keep trusting, keep loving. Know that your yearning and longing in your heart and soul for your people, for your love, for your connection, they're feeling it too. Yearning for you. So hold that in your heart. We're connected no matter what. We've stayed connected all this whole time energetically. And it's only the fact that we're so close to coming together in person to really do the work that finally the grief, the remorse, the regret, all of the emotions that have been stuck, we might be a feeling of the collective or our past lives, people around us. It's just all coming up to be released, and that waterfall of love washing us back home into the present moment with her in peace and release. So just let it happen and be present with where you're at in this beautiful time of preparation. Let this love bloom in your heart, in your soul, in your field of like coming back home. And know that in coming back home, you got to heal where you turned away. And that is uncomfortable and yet so beautiful. You've been looking for this deeper truth, this feeling of really living, you know, this profound connection and understanding. There is so much more to this story, and you know this, and yet you've been stuck in the narrow confines, and now we're like breaking down the walls and setting ourselves free and getting over the Stockholm syndrome and breaking down the gates and moving out and into the field, coming back into the fold, into the fertile field, cultivating the ground with the mother, mutual reciprocity, so that we can bring the whole flock back into the fold of her love. So thank you so much, Supernova Soul, for being here, going through all you've gone through, staying in the love that you are. You are so needed and so important and so lovely. So thank you so much for being here and being you. And I look forward to connecting with you soon, hopefully at that Cancer New Moon activation this Friday or the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.